A lot of people are intimidated by playing poker in Red Dead Redemption 2. This guide will help keep things simple. After watching this video, you will know how to become the master of poker. You will know all of the rules of the game. Not only that, but also how to cheat in poker in Red Dead Redemption 2 and make a lot of money, because if you know how to play the game and you know how to cheat in poker, well, you will win every single time and make a lot of money in Red Dead Redemption 2. So let's get started. Now I already have the game in my hands and I know how the game works and everything, but when the game does come out, for everyone else, make sure you are subscribed, because there will be an extension to this video where I will be discussing tips and tricks in poker to make you a better player than what you will be at the end of this video. Now, in order to get started, of course, you're gonna want to head into the village, any village, and just go into a bar, and you will just walk around until you find a bunch of people sitting down on top of a green table, and they're just playing with cards. Now once you take a seat, you will notice that there is a small blind and a big blind. Now a small blind is a person with just 5 tokens, and the big blind is someone with double of that amount. Now the first round will happen and everyone will be given 2 cards, and the person who starts will be the one right beside to the left hand side of the big blind person. Now this person has 3 options that he can do. He can call, which means that he would put as many tokens as Big Blind did, or he can raise, which means he would have to put double that of Big Blind. And the last option is if he were to fold, which means that he would take all of his cards away. Now the next player in the counterclockwise motion will have the same options: raise, fold, or call. And once every single player on the table has contributed the same amount of money, all of that will go to the center of the table. Once this happens, there will come a second round, and this round is called the flop round. Now what happens in the flop round? In the flop round, 3 cards will be put to the center of the table for everyone to see. At this point, every single player can use their 2 cards that they have currently to put them together with the 3 cards that are in the center of the table and make a 5-card poker hand. Now the small blind player is the first to act. He can check, which just means he's not betting anything at all. His other option is he can bet, which would mean he would put some money on the table, which all the other players will have to match. And his final option is to fold, which means to put his cards away and basically give up. Now once everyone on the table has put in the same amount of money, all of that money will be put to the center of the table again, and that will end the flop round. Thus begins the third betting round, which is the turn round. In this round, an extra card will be put to the center of the table for everyone to see. So that includes 4 cards shown in the center, which means that there are 6 cards available to you, including the 2 cards that you have for yourself. So that means you can use any of the 6 cards to make a 5-card poker hand. Now just like in the previous round, you will be able to either call, raise, or fold your cards. And once everyone has the same amount of money put onto the table, all of that money again will be put to the center of the table. And now we enter the final round called the river round. And in this round, an extra card again will be put to the center of the table for everyone to see, thus making 5 cards in the center for everyone to see. This means that every single player has 7 cards to choose from to make a 5-card poker hand. Now after all these 4 rounds of betting, every single player that remains will have to show their 2 cards that they have in their hands. And whoever has the best 5-card poker hand wins all of the money that was in the center of the poker table. That's right. Isn't that crazy? Which means it's a winner take all. Pretty simple, right? But how do you know which poker hand is the best poker hand? How do you know which cards are good and which cards are bad? Well, that's what we're going to talk about here now. There are 10 poker hand rankings, and let's go from the weakest to the strongest poker hand. So the weakest comes in at number 10, and it's called the high cards. High cards are going to be, for example, a king, a queen, a 10, 9, and an 8. All right? There's no correlation between if it's a diamond or a heart or anything like that. Now, number 9 is going to be called the 1 pair. And the 1 pair is going to be, for example, a 7, 7, a Q, a 10, and a 6. This is called a 1 pair because there are 2 8s at the start. Alright, so now let's go to number 8, which is going to be called the 2 pair. The 2 pair has 2 cards. So for example, it would be a king, and a 5, and a 5, and an A. Alright, 2 pairs because there's 2 kings and there's 2 5s. The next one is number 7, which is 3 of a kind. Now 3 of a kind would be, for example, a king, 8, and a 7. 3 of a kind, there's 3, which are the 3 kings, and that would make it the number 7. Now, number 6 is going to be called the straight, which is, for example, 8, 9, 10, jack, and a queen. No correlation again with if it's a heart or a diamond. Straight is because it's an 8, 9, 10, jack, and queen. Now, at number 5 is going to be called the flush, and the flush has a correlation. It needs to be the same. For example, it has to be hearts. All of the cards in a flush has to be a heart. So for example, it could be a 2, 8, 9, K, 4, whatever. But as long as all of those are a heart, that means that it's going to be a flush. Now, number 4 is going to be called the full house. Full house is basically, for example, a 7, a 7, a 7, and then there's a 9 and a 9. Reason why it's a full house? Well, because there's 3 7s and then there's 2 9s. So that's 3 and then there's a 2. Now, at number 3 is going to be the 4 of a kind. 4 of a kind, well, look at it this way. This one is basically an 8, 8, 8, 8, and some random one, which is, let's call it 2, for example. So 4, because there's 4 in a row of the same kind. Now, there's no correlation if it's a diamond. It could be different ones, okay? It doesn't really matter. And number 2 is going to be the straight flush. Now, straight flush is basically a straight cards. So a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And all of those are hearts. It needs to be all hearts for it to be a straight flush. And the royal flush, which is number 1, this is the most powerful one that you can have as a poker hand. It is all of them have to be same, which is, let's say all of them have to be hearts, okay? And it also has to be a 10, jack, queen, king, and then an ace. If you have that, you will have the royal flush. All right, they have to be all spades. That if you have that, that's the royal flush, and that is the number 1 poker hand that you can have. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, and how are you supposed to remember all that? Well, hopefully some of you guys already know and already remember that in just a few seconds, but a lot of people might need some more practice. And what I would recommend is, as you're playing poker in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can have your phone right beside you and just search up poker hand rankings, and you will see all the ranks that you can have and see what kind of cards you have. Now, a lot of people are wondering, well, how do I cheat in poker in Red Dead Redemption 2? Because all of this is way too much for me, and I just want to cheat and make money fast, because you will be able to make a lot of money by playing poker. Not only is it fun, but you can make a lot of money. So how do you cheat? Well, you will have a card on your lap, and every time you have you're dealt 2 cards, you can look at your card that you have on your lap and switch it without anyone noticing. If they catch you, then you're screwed. Then I don't know what's gonna happen. I guess everyone's gonna be all mad at you. But if you're successful, you can change the card anytime that you want, and you can win pretty much every single time. And that is how you play poker in Red Dead Redemption 2. Let me know if this guide was helpful. Leave a like on this video, and we will be making more Red Dead Redemption 2 videos here on the channel, especially when the game finally does come out, and there will be an evolution of this video where you will be able to watch the video and even become stronger at poker. So hopefully you guys stick around and let's get it.